If you're trying to make your e-com store the first $100,000 in monthly profit using Google Ads, this is the core concept you have to understand. This is the principal strategy we've developed that we use for every store, no matter if they reach multi-6 figures or multi-7 figures per month in revenue. This is the core concept of their Google Ads to get them to that point. So I'm going to talk about what we call the pyramid of converting traffic. Now, the premise of this strategy really is the type of traffic you want to go after and in what order to maximize your advertising dollar and always capitalize on the most likely to convert traffic first until you move to the next stage. So the concept relatively is simple, but how it materializes, of course, is different platform to platform. With Google, there's going to be different types of traffic and then also different types of campaigns you're going to want to use at each level before you move to the next and move to the next. And when it comes to that base layer, which we call the low-hanging fruit layer, that's going to be where you're really maximizing the highest intent traffic and also the lowest hanging fruit campaign types that are going to generally get you to the point of doing a few $100,000 per month in revenue. Now, what I mean here is somebody searching something just like vacuum versus I want a car vacuum that can vacuum up sand. Where do I buy it? There's two levels of intent there, right? Somebody searching vacuum, they're going to get searches for car vacuums, maybe house vacuums. It could be really anything, shop vacuums for them. It could be literally any type of vacuum, right? There's very low intent there. They just know that they want a vacuum. They're probably going to narrow it down through those searches by just stumbling on what they might find versus I'm looking for a shop vacuum for my mechanic store that can hold this many gallons. Where can I buy it? There's very, very different levels of intent there. You have somebody who doesn't know exactly what they want versus who does know exactly what they want. And if they know exactly what they want, they're just looking for the store that they can trust to buy from, right? So what you're really going to be doing at this level is maximizing the amount of terms that are people searching for the exact type of product they want. And the way that materializes is in a couple different ways, right? It could be people searching for the exact type of product and model. It could be people searching for a specific type of product, but they don't know exactly what model they want. They just know the exact type of product or maybe the place that they want to buy it from. But it's really going to be the people who are searching terms that really translate to, I know what I want to buy, where do I get it from? And there's going to be a lot of different variations of that, right? So you're going to want to maximize that first. The way you're going to go about maximizing that is going to be with a couple different campaign types. About half the time it's going to be with search campaigns, going after those types of fixed terms with phrase match keyword targeting and maximizing the amount of people who are searching those terms each month, trying to get as much impression share as you can. And then there's going to be like the campaigns like PMAX, right? Which will go after a lot of low hanging fruit type terms because you're going to scale it as long as you have sustainable ROI. At some point, the ROI will plateau, right? So that's in a way a multi-level attack, right? You're going to use PMAX between these different levels of the pyramid that we're talking about, but you're going to feel how it works because there's going to be certain levels where the ROI drops off. You're going to have a hard time scaling it. And that's almost where it's hitting different levels of awareness that are parallel to this level of the pyramid that we're talking about. So very, very important. It's considered horizontal scaling, not vertical scaling, because you're not going after one avenue and dumping money into it and trying to make all your money there. This is what would be considered horizontal scaling, where you're maximizing all these different avenues, leaving it where it's maximized and then moving on, because there's going to be certain areas where you plateau just because there's not an infinite amount of people searching these terms each month. Once you go through a different level of keyword grouping, you're going to hit a wall at some point just because the amount of people searching is limited, right? So once you do that, it's going to be very consistent. You're going to keep getting revenue from those keywords and a lot of consistency with those campaigns. And that's going to allow you to get to the next level of campaign and try to do the testing there to keep going on and on and on, right? So once you maximize the lowest hanging fruit, that's going to get to the next stage, which is expanding your search strategy. Now, what I mean by this is stepping up in the level of broadness of terms. This isn't going to that term, for example, like vacuum. You're not going to go as broad as possible because it's still going to be a very hard time trying to convert that traffic, but you're going to get to the next level of awareness. So maybe if somebody's searching for, I want a calcium vitamin to help with my bones, maybe it's just, I want a calcium vitamin, or where to get the best calcium vitamin on the market, right? They don't know exactly why they need it, but they know that they want it. So it's taking a little step up. And then you have the next step. It could just be, best vitamin for bone health. It could be best vitamin for XYZ. It's really just these little steps each time in the intent of what someone's searching. And the whole point of me explaining this is each time you take that step up, the terms are going to become harder to convert. You're going to need better assets to convert the broader level of these terms. And that's why you want to maximize each level before you move to the next, because you always want to spend your money first where it's most likely to convert. If you don't do that, you're going to do it in an upside down way. You're going to totally burn your money trying to convert broad traffic, which is really difficult. So once you've maximized all of the best, highest intent type terms on the search side, that's when you're going to take the next step and the next step, right? And you're not going to want to just go on infinitely, but you will feel when to stop. I can't tell you exactly in this video in your situation when to stop because there's so many different possibilities, but generally it's going to be when you feel the most resistance trying to convert that next level. And that's where you know you have probably maximized the keywords for this stage. Next is going to be medium risk scalable campaign types. So there's a lot of different levels of this, right? Some of that actually might be search, going up into another level of broadness and trying to scale into some of the tougher terms to figure out what assets you can get into. But then there's other different variations of campaigns you can get into, like for example, shopping. We talked about in 2025 how you can actually run shopping next to PMAX. If you've gotten to the point where you've maximized a lot of the low-hanging fruit type traffic and you're seeing yourself hit some level of plateau on the PMAX side, that's when you can throw in something like shopping. Start experimenting with different structures of shopping campaigns, which we talked about in other videos. What's going to work the best to scale next to your PMAX strategy? And you might feel some level of difficulty trying to find what version of this campaign is going to convert for you. But that's why I call it medium risk, right? Because it's going to take a little bit more work on the front end. But once you find what style of this campaign type works for your store, then you can start scaling that out and you're going to see a level of revenue come from that, right? So the biggest thing is experimenting at this phase. This is really when it comes down to different structures of campaign types that are going to work with that type of traffic, because not all types of builds for campaigns and strategies work the same. You might find one build works really well for one store and the same build doesn't work for the other, and you have to experiment with something different there. So this stage is all about experimenting with different builds and strategies of the actual campaign types and seeing if things that didn't convert before can convert with this new type of build or strategy that you're moving into. And last is going to be high risk, high reward campaign types. The biggest campaign type for this grouping is going to be YouTube ads. Now, YouTube ads is very difficult when it comes to e-com. It's a really hard nut to crack. Arguably the area that needs the most testing when it comes to Google, YouTube, and Facebook. But the beauty of this is once you actually find what's going to work and scale out, you have an open ocean, because most people are not going to go through that testing when it comes to e-com. They don't want to invest in all the different creatives you need for the testing. They don't have the expertise or somewhere to get the expertise to know exactly how to build the YouTube campaigns, how to structure them, how to run them. But if you go through the work, you learn that area of expertise, you also get the assets that you need to be able to scale out on YouTube, you can crack it, you are going to have an amazing time scaling because there's such low traction when it comes to scale. Most of the effort when it comes to YouTube is just figuring out what works. Once you find what works, what audiences work, what assets work, and then what assets convert that traffic, it's go time, baby. You're going to be able to scale, and you're going to scale high next to the Google and Facebook side of your business. So I almost consider YouTube as a separate entity in itself. Even though Google owns it, it's really its own platform because it has its own strategies. You need your own assets, and then it scales in a different way too. So that's really from bottom to top, the areas you're going to focus on when you're scaling out an account. Like I said, you're generally going to be able to get to the multiple 6 figures per month in revenue with Google ads, just maximizing the bottom levels of this pyramid that we talk about. But when you get to the point of wanting Google to be a standalone 7-figure channel, that's where you're really going to have to do heavy experimentation and unlock all these different campaign types that are very hard to convert. But once you get them to convert, you're going to be able to scale them out. If you want to see more about the strategies that we use in each level of awareness and the different levels of this pyramid that we talked about, make sure to like and subscribe. We're constantly putting out content that goes over the exact strategies we use to take our e-com clients from 5 to 6 to 7 figures per month using Google ads as a channel. So make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.